people here. Why don't you give me your name, your age, and your occupation?
Okay, Annie Davis. I'm 49, and I'm a musician, and I'm a CEO.
So it's like, I would not even say two sides of the same coin, maybe not even the same currency.
Right.
So is your company linked to your music at all? Or is it completely different?
Completely different.
Wow, what is it?
Yeah. So I'm a CEO of a company that I founded about 12 years ago called Run Lab. And so we do running biomechanics analysis and
Interesting.
physical therapy for active people and runners, especially triathletes, that whole world.
How did you wind up? Are you a runner? Or?
I am.
Okay.
So the way that I got into all that was I got into running for the first time in my 20s. I actually was afraid of the water and didn't know how to swim, so I taught myself to swim and wanted to do a triathlon to kind of feel like I conquered that fear. So ended up getting into triathlon through all of that, started running a bunch, loved running, kept getting injured over and over, couldn't find anybody to watch me run and help me with it. I was like, I know that this is the problem. It's not running that's bad for me, it's the way I'm doing it. So anyway, ended up going back to school and getting my doctorate and starting the company and solving all of my own shit. And here we are 12, 13 years later, and I have an awesome company.
Amazing.
Help a lot of people. Yeah, it's very cool.
So then, when does the music come into this? Have you always been a musician? You know, are you in a band? You're a solo act?
So the music stuff started super early. So I grew up really poor. Food stamps, welfare, single-parent household, alcoholic dad, that whole world. So I knew there was going to be no money for college. And so in my tiny little 5th grade brain, I thought, if I learn to play an instrument, I'll always have a job and I'll always be able to make money.
Musicians are famously the most employed people.
Famously. One notch above being a hobo. So I ended up, so I taught myself to play the trumpet because that was the one instrument my elementary school had left to loan me. So I taught myself to play, ended up putting myself through college on trumpet scholarship, and then got about, I don't know, close to the end of college and was like, oh shit, what am I going to do with a music degree? And so that was around the time that I was getting into running and everything else made the big pivot. So fast forward, I don't know, 20 years or so, and I hadn't played. I had given up music to pursue this other thing, and I was in an abusive relationship at the time. Didn't like me out there playing in the clubs at night. I was playing in ska bands back when ska was a thing.
That trumpet came in handy.
Yeah. So anyway, so I gave up the thing that I loved more than anything back in my 20s and didn't pick it up again. So fast forward to COVID. So on March 19th of 2020, I laid off 28 of my 30 employees because nobody gives a shit about their running biomechanics when they think they might die from this crazy virus we don't know anything about.
Yeah.
And so my way of trying to save the company was, let's go down to just one doctor and one admin and me and make it work. So it was heartbreaking. It was something I'd worked so much of my life to build.
Yeah.
So in order to try to save the company, that's what I did. But I was going through a lot of shit. It was hard to do that. I had just lost my dad to cancer a few years earlier. Yep. And that was its own whole story. So I was just carrying around a lot of things. And so I thought, you know what? I always want to play the drums. So I went and bought myself a drum kit and I started learning to play. And then I realized very quickly that one, it was COVID, so nobody wanted to get together and play anyway. But two, nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to play with a brand new drummer. So it's very hard to learn or join a band or do anything else. So I decided to buy a guitar and I said, you know what? One of my other biggest fears, along with swimming, has been the idea of singing in front of people. That was probably the most terrifying thing I could imagine. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to write one song and I'm going to go to an open mic and I'm going to sing my song and I'm going to feel like I conquered something. And so I did. I bought a guitar, I learned one chord, and I wrote a whole song with my one chord. And I went out to one of the only open mics in Austin, Texas that was still operating during COVID. And I played my little tune. And it was, half a bottle of wine, a couple of whiskey shots later, I was in love with songwriting. And I thought, I have to learn how to sing and perform because I want to be the one to be able to deliver my own message through my music and not write music for other people.
Yeah,
so,
you're literally following the beat of your own drum.
Yep. And so I started writing. I spent all of COVID writing and learning to play every instrument I could, at least enough to kind of be creative. And then once COVID lifted, started working on putting a band together. So then fast forward to now, and I have a touring band. We did 17 states and 2 countries last year.
Wow.
Yep. In 2023, I was named CMA of Texas American Artist of the Year.
Wow.
I'm signed to a label, won some awards, and yeah, it's a really cool thing. So yeah, my band's called Trashy Annie, and there's a whole story behind that, but I am so proud of it. So I finally got to come back to the thing that I felt like I was gonna do with my life as a kid, and it's just been I finally feel full inside, you know,
Yeah.
because I've got the biomechanics and the science side, and then I've got the music side.
Well, so that's the thing, is that you've got your schedule full with all these types
All the
of
things.
disciplines. So how and when does Survivor fall into this? What's your history with watching the show, and what made you decide to, start your own path running here to Fiji?
I think this show is such an impactful thing. It's an amazing show. So I've been watching it since the beginning. I don't call myself a super fan because I've seen all of the episodes and all of the seasons in non-sequential order, but I can't tell you who won what. I just always watched it because I love the concept. It's only been about a year when I started thinking, maybe I could do that. I watched this show with my family at night. It's one of that, Amazing Race, in Silicon Valley are the only 3 shows I watch.
One of those things is not like the other.
I know, but they all have their own related things.
Yeah.
So anyway, so my family and I will watch Survivor just while we eat dinner. It's like our one little time to watch TV during the day. And about a year ago, we were watching the season, and Jeff came on there. Hey, do you think you have what it takes? Apply today. And I was like, I'm gonna apply today. And so I got it. I made my video and sent it in, and they messaged me, and I thought it was spam, and I was like, didn't respond to that. And then they called. They're like, Hey, Annie. So that's how I ended up on this show. And I love it. I love everything about it. I think it does things so differently than anything else out there because you've got the mental, the physical, the social component. I mean, I've done so many things. The reason I'm here is because I've done Ironmans. I've done 3-day adventure races all by myself in the woods with map and compass. I've climbed mountain 14ers. I've done all kinds of crazy physical stuff. Mentally, growing up on food stamps and welfare and picking up cans on the side of the road and like making my own way in the world, big mental struggle throughout my entire life.
Right.
I've never done anything, especially competitive, that involves a social component like this. I never played team sports. Being in a band is the first time I've ever done anything that's kind of a group thing where we're trying to get to the goal together. Everything's always been an independent struggle. And so for me, this is maybe the biggest challenge I've ever undertaken in all of the things I've done in life because there's so many facets to it. So I just love it. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, it's this idea where you have clearly had this experience with, pushing yourself to your physical limit, with enduring, mental deprivation. But there's this element of like, you're going through that, and so are a bunch of other people.
Yes.
And those other people are also planning to stab you in the back. So I totally agree that it seems like you have gone through so many challenges, either, purposefully or not, in your life, but this is an entirely different beast because of the people around you.
Yeah. And I can't come into this thinking I'm super tough. I know that about myself. Sleeping in the rainstorm, who gives a shit,
Yeah.
I hiked 180 miles with a rock embedded in my foot in Taos for a race, this kind of thing doesn't faze me. The social component scares me to death because, like I say, I don't know. I was telling these guys, this crowd is, or this cast is, there's a lot of millennials and young people. I don't even know what they're saying half the time. You know what I mean? I'm old. I'm 49. So I'm like, I was there before the internet was a thing. So there's just a lot of things I have to adapt and learn and pivot to fit into a group like this. And I think it's going to be a really cool challenge.
So looking back upon Survivor history, everything you've watched, give me one winner and one non-winner who you identify with the most. Could be personally, way you intend to play the game, etc.
Not being a super fan, I don't do super well with like, oh yeah, I remember this person or that person all that well. The people that stand out because they've made history in one way or another.
You can even describe them to me.
But I can tell you for sure, on the winner side, I really like people who have a positive personality. Kenzie is one that sticks out to me because, she helped Ben through his struggles in the middle of the night when he was having freakouts and stuff like that. I think, Jam Jam had a really positive attitude. What's the girl who the cute little bubbly black girl? She won, right?
Marianne.
Yeah, same, just really positive the whole time. Not the strongest, not even always the best socially, but like very kind, helpful around camp, super positive people. So those are people that I think personality-wise, I tend to identify with as the way that I would like to play the game. And non-winner-wise, I don't know, because I just think there are a lot of people throughout the seasons who've kind of had that, maybe they've gone about things that way, but they've been too weak in the challenges, so they got voted out, or you know, they piss somebody off for some reason or another and they get voted. But I don't know. There've been so many good players along the way, you know, and
you're one of them now.
I hope so, man. Not everybody who wins is always, you know, the people who, or not everybody who loses is always a bad player, you know. It's just, there's so much that goes into it. When people ask me how I'm going to play the game, I'm like, you can't decide that until you read the room, right?
Yeah.
Because there's 17 other people who are going to show up that are not the 17 other from that season or that season or that season. So, you know.
I'm intrigued from your prep perspective. Obviously, again, fitness is like your first and foremost. I heard you read in your bio that like you taught yourself to swim in your 20s. When you found out you were coming out here, did you do any additional things or change your routine in preparation for this?
So I only found out like 4 weeks ago. And so it was really, really, you know, recent, and I was on tour. And so, cause we were on tour almost all of March.
Wow.
And so I got back, and right after I'd gotten the phone call, I had about a week of being back at home to get everything that needed to be done and kind of, oh shit, I should probably go work on some strength training for this week, you know, or just anything that, I mean, you can't cram it all in, right? So ultimately, I just said, I'm going to have to lean on my 50 years of preparation on this planet and hope it's enough.
Yeah,
you know?
So when it comes to that, what you're bringing into this game, again, you said that there's no hard and fast plan, but give me your biggest superpower and your biggest piece of kryptonite that you're bringing in.
They're related. So I tend to trust far too easily.
Interesting.
I'm not a good liar, and so I will.
Is that like I feel bad doing it, or is it like if I say something you can see it on my face?
All of it. I mean, I get like a weird twitch, you know. I blink too many times. I get, you know, I sweat. It's just so obvious when I try to lie. I'm so used to just saying what's in here through my songwriting. Yeah. I really like being vulnerable. I like being able to say whatever feelings you're having inside, because everybody experiences these things. Everybody does things they regret and says stupid things and all that. So I tend not to hide things from people, and so it makes me a very bad liar. So I think kryptonite-wise, you know, there's a good-looking dude on the island, and he tells me, I'm going to take you all the way. I'll say, okay, and I can hop right on. Whoa! Because so often, I just tend to, like I say, I believe people. And if we have sort of a connection of any kind, I'm like, I'm okay, I'm all in. I'm trying to keep some of those things that I know about myself sort of in the, you know, squish down and say, no, I gotta trust no one.
You got those love goggles, you know? Like, it's tough because you're living out here 24/7 with somebody. Totally. You're trying to connect with them on a very personal level.
Totally.
Sometimes the heart wants what it wants.
It wants what it wants.
Rob and Amber just celebrated their 20-year anniversary. Like, it happens. It happens.
And I say that, you know, it could be a guy, it could be a girl. It doesn't even, I end up with heart goggles for people because I'll see something awesome about them, and then I'll just fall in love with like whatever it is on the inside. And then and then it's hard for them to do any wrong in my eyes. And so when I meet all of these strangers, I don't know how that's all going to play out, but it's definitely, it's a kryptonite problem.
How do you think you're going to be perceived out here?
I think a lot of people say this, but I think for me, probably underestimated. You know, I'm little, I'm old compared to all of them. They don't know all of the stuff that I've done with my life, and I don't necessarily intend to share that.
I was going to say, is there a part of you that you're not going to disclose?
My plan is to go in as a musician, right?
Okay.
Because people have very low bar of expectations for musicians. So, like, I'll tell them, you know, I was in the corporate world, and then because I think the story of getting into music in my mid-40s is cool, and that does resonate with people, and even, you know, out in the tribe, they're probably going to like hearing something like that and make me more real, you know? So I think sharing that, but I don't necessarily want to go in and say, hey, I have a doctorate and I have a really cool, successful company that I built and I've done a bunch of Ironmans. Like, that feels like a bad idea. Yeah. You know, I have a necklace that says boss, and I had to leave that at home, you know, because you just don't go into something.
It's implied instead when you're the boss of these people out here.
Right. So I think that's one thing I have to think about too, is just not going in and always trying to be the boss, because it's what I'm used to doing in life, and that doesn't go well in this kind of environment.
You mentioned the possible age gap between you and the rest of the cast. How do you think that's going to affect the perception of you amongst the youngins out here?
I have 2 stepkids, but I'm not a biological mom because I am not cut out for that world. You know, the kids call me boss, actually. It's very cute. That is my nickname. So I don't think going in the mom role, I think part of the reason they cast me is because I'm not doing that. You know,
Yeah.
I'm the token old lady on the crowd here, in the cast here, but I'm not your typical, you know, mom type of personality. And so I don't know how that's going to play out.
Yeah.
My band is full of millennials. You know, that's pretty much all I have on my staff back at Run Lab as well. So I'm used to working with this population.
Yeah.
I'm just used to bossing them around, you know?
Well, let's look to the people that you might bring onto this on-island band. Let's assess the competition here.
Yes.
So when it comes to, start with the positive side of things first. Who's giving you good vibes? You can give me initials. You can describe them to me. Who are people that, like, best case scenario, you're hitting the beach on day one. These are ride or dies for me.
So being a super introverted person as a kid, especially, I'm kind of a forced extrovert. I really still am I like my alone time. That makes me I was really nerdy as a kid. I was poor. I didn't have a boyfriend until college, you know. So I got used to just watching and observing.
Yeah.
So at the Ponderosa and all this pregame stuff, I always sit in the back. I always sit where I can watch everybody because I want to see what they're doing. And so I feel like, I mean, I've got a whole spreadsheet.
Oh,
right?
yeah, go through it for me.
It's like a logic problem. I'm like, okay, this person is like this, so they'll probably be on this tribe, and this person's like, anyway. So the couple of people that I like so far, there's a little tiny, she's like the smallest one, dark hair, smallest one we have on our tribe. Don't know her name. I can't remember anybody's initials. Anyway, she's lovely. She's friendly looking. She's pretty. She's sweet. You can just tell by the way she moves around. And I think she's probably pretty smart. The way that I look for people that are watching, instead of just reading a romance novel, you know, they're either doing puzzles all day or they're watching everybody just like I'm watching everybody. And by sitting in the back, I can see who's doing that. I like her for that reason because I think she's that way. There's a couple other that are like that too. Both females, which is crazy because usually I connect with dudes much easier than I do with women. But in this environment, it might be a little bit different. So there's a tall black girl with dreads that looks like, having looked at running bodies for a long time, she's probably a sprinter, track athlete, somebody strong. I like her too, but she's just kind of always watching and always reading, and I love it. And then there's one other girl that's kind of like that, and I don't have a super good, I have a good vibe for her. I don't have a lot to say other than I think she's also a very observational person.
Ooh, describe her to me.
Long, shorter, smaller, long brown hair, white girl, kind of just like, I don't know, just nice face, very sweet looking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's move over from the sweet to the salty, maybe. Let's move over to the other side. Who are you? You could either say people you're not picking up good vibes from, or maybe it's people that you're like already assessing as maybe threats to your game.
Well, the threats to my game, I think, are going to be people who are super physical and can beat me at challenges. I mean, I'm strong, but I'm probably not going to win a lot of challenges. I'm not very good at puzzles. I'm afraid of the water. You know, I'm not big and huge and muscly.
You taught yourself to swim in your 20s.
I did, but I still hate the water. I did it because I hate the water.
And that's like your ultimate form of exposure therapy.
Yeah, it's super. Yeah, exactly. So the really strong ones, like the sprinter girl. I mean, she would be a threat. That's why I'm like, hey, we should. If we team up together, then that might be a way to sort of keep your enemies closer, right? And then there's a big like Mr. Beefcake, you know, guy. So he's an interesting one.
Okay.
He's like non-verbally flirty with all the girls. Like you can just kind of see it, and he'll give like the little wink, you know. Or he seems like he's gonna be really, really nice. Always the guy to like, oh here, let me, you know, he put my suitcase up for me when we were getting on the bus, and like he's that guy. Also strikes me as somebody you can't trust as far as you can throw. I mean, nobody's gonna throw that guy anywhere. So I don't know. We'll find out once I get to talk to these people. But those are the couple. You know, every once in a while you'll see somebody do something like, I saw the one guy drop his chapstick and got like really like about it. You know, like, oh, I got dirty, and I'm thinking, we got a long way to go out here, and if that pisses you off, like what else is going to be
Should
bad?
be a lot worse stuff than chapstick you're dropping in the sand.
I need people who on my alliance, one, who are smart, and two, who are able to just kind of roll with all the things they're going to throw at us, because the game's going to throw stuff at us, the social environment's going to throw stuff at us, the weather's going to throw stuff at us. We all got to be able to just hang through that and not let our let our shit show from the inside. So I need players like that on my team. So we'll see who those are once I get to talk to them all.
Well, you talk about things at the game that throw your way. Idols, advantages, journeys. How much are you incorporating them into your Survivor biometrics?
None. Because here's my thought. Idols obviously change everything for anybody who has one. Outside of that, almost everything else can be mitigated with a good social game. So if you have a good social game, you're not going to get voted out. You don't have to rely on an idol, an advantage, a journey, any of those things. And sometimes that can put a target on you that you don't even want. So I am not playing a game of, if I find them, cool. I'll always take them. I'm a big risk taker, so, I'm never going to protect my vote.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone flip off the idea of protecting a vote.
I mean, I get it.
I'm manifesting this. If you get the opportunity, you better replicate that motion again.
It's good. So yeah, I'm a risk taker. So if I get the opportunity to take a beware advantage or do any of these things, I'm going to do it. I just feel like if you can play a really good social game, you don't have to hinge on that stuff.
I mean, you talk about social game. If something does fall your way, would you tell someone that you have it?
I've thought about that. Originally, I thought no. I thought, if I find an idol or something, like, people dig it. I need to store it in my prison wallet so that no one will find it. But yeah, I think my initial plan is no. That being said, again, you gotta read the room. If it's gonna help whoever my number one is to know that I have something so they feel like I trust them enough to truly be their number one, then maybe. I don't know. That's the kind of thing with my career and all that other stuff I said I'm not gonna mention. You never know when it might come in useful to say something to somebody so they really feel like you trust them.
I'm gonna, traipse upon your knowledge of the show again.
Okay.
So, put you in Jeff's shoes for a second. Let's say that you can bring in like a previous twist, or you can create your own twist if you want to, or an advantage that you want in this season.
Ooh.
What do you want to play with?
Ooh. Something that's been used before.
It could be if you're a very creative individual, if you want to write a new verse of a Survivor advantage.
I think some kind of advantage in. Ooh, what would I do? I don't know. I've always thought that when it gets down to the final four and they have to make fire for that third spot, there's got to be something there that could be done differently. And I don't know what that is exactly. I've also thought it would be cool to give everybody one idol at the beginning.
Okay, that's something.
That's it.
That's something.
That's it. That's all everybody gets. Good luck to you, sirs and madams.
Well, 'cause I think
Use it wisely.
Yeah, because it is this idea of like, do you expend it early if you're feeling really vulnerable? How do you plan around that? Because there's so many contingencies right now of like, this person might have an idol. This person has an idol. How do you work around that?
Exactly. And if everybody had one and could only use it once and then that's it.
It's an even more powerful shot in the dark, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. This game is so cool because of all the different things. I mean, the 30s were kind of the dark era, right? Where they came up with, in my mind, some ridiculous things. But it also had its place because they were figuring out, like, is Redemption Island a thing that people like and want to have exist? Fire tokens, all that shit. I think currently, though, with everything that they're doing is really awesome. The new era is great. It's pulling in new fans. People are getting all fired up about Survivor again in a way that, I've been watching this since the Richard Hatch days. I remember what it was like back then. It feels like people are getting into it in a bigger way again, which is very cool.
What would you say, I mean, maybe it's what you just mentioned about things like the idols and stuff. What would you say is your hottest Survivor take, though? Do you have a different, like, controversial opinion about the show?
If I were more of a super fan and knew all of the details of everything, I think I could come up with something pretty cool, which, now that I'm on this show, I'm going to go back and watch everything with a whole different lens,
I'm sure.
Because I've seen them all, but I just watch them as like, oh, this is cool.
Exactly.
Not thinking about it this way. I do think, though, fewer super fans or even no super fan, or even maybe putting a person or two who've just never seen Survivor, because it kind of takes it back to the early days when people hadn't seen the show, and it created so much drama and so many like, oh, what do I do with this whole concept? I have no idea what we're even doing here. Now everybody's seen it that's on there, and there's always a super fan or two who are at home building puzzles, 3D puzzles, of all the challenges. So I just think it could be a different thing to have a bunch of people who really don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting concept because then it's like them discovering the game as they go.
Yes.
You know, that sort of comes in through the twist at this point in the new era.
Yes.
But now we're sort of resetting it back to like, oh yeah, I guess I can betray this person.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I wanted to do that, but this is Survivor.
Yep. Because now everybody comes in and they talk about alliances and resumes and beware advantages, how they're going to use them all, and blah, 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 blah. Just imagine bringing people in who, like, don't even know what this is. You know? I don't know if it was a CBS show or not, but I hated The Summit because I had no idea what was going on. But the one good piece of that show was that they didn't know what was going on either.
Right.
You know? I don't even know that they knew what was going on at the end.
Were you casting some aspersions of like, that's not how you climb, come on.
Yes, of course. I was like, what are we doing here? Yeah. Anyway.
So, let's talk about jury votes and the end game of Survivor, because I feel like people on the jury, they have unlimited criteria they can use to vote for somebody, right? Could be relationships, story, resume, etc. Right now, do you have like a core value? If you were to write out the sentence like, if I was on the jury, I would vote for blank in terms of a winner, what would you vote for?
Whoever's game I respect the most, because I hate when people talk about trust in this game, you know, the ability to be honest. Oh, you weren't honest with me. Nobody's honest. This is Survivor. What are you talking about? You can't trust anyone. If you do, you're an idiot, you know? Like, even, sometimes you can't even trust yourself to make the right decision, you know? Much less the other people that you just met. So, at the end of the day, to me, all three people, regardless of how they got there, deserve to be there, because, you know, you look at people like the Sues of the world, or the people that sort of, some people would say they floated along on someone else's coattails to get to the finals. But that's just a strategy. That's just the way they played the game. And they still got to the final three. The challenge with that is that people don't respect that style of gameplay and they won't vote for it. So people just don't get votes when you end up in the, you know, the final three and people view you as just riding someone else's coattails. So that being said, whoever sits there, I'm going to evaluate whose game I respect the most and say, yeah, you did it. Like, you win. And so I don't know how that looks because everybody's going to play different games.
Right.
But that's ultimately my core value, is just saying I think Russell, everyone hates Russell, but you know what? Guy plays a damn good Survivor game. You know? You can't argue that. You got to respect him, even if you hate him. So anyway.
The last thing I want to ask, I'll throw another weird scenario out for you. If you could bring out, for a loved one's visit, a celebrity or a fictional character,
oh my God.
who are you
Mike
picking
Judge, all fucking day.
I was going to say Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley is and Survivor are the best shows on television, man. I love that show. I mean, I come at it from, I was never in the tech world, but, you know, startup and having a business of my own, and everything relates. Their humor is so smart. Yeah, I love almost anything Mike Judge does.
I mean, you get
Silicon Valley.
Would he do the Hank Hill voice while you were out here, too?
Yeah, right. I actually play, so I got back into music. I told you, you know, playing drums and whatever.
Right.
And ended up playing horn with Roger Klein and the Peacemakers, who did the song for King of the Hill.
Oh, my God.
Isn't that cool? I did a bunch of shows with them. Their drummer plays on my new album.
Oh, my God. Well, you are as fired up right now as Propane and Propane Accessories. This was such a delight.
Love
to put Silicon Valley. I hope you're not feeling always blue out there.
I like that.
And I'm just thrilled to get the chance to talk with you.
Thank
to get
you.
To see. I mean, quite literally, you are radiant right now. You're shining, and I think that, to your point, you've gone through so much in your life that this is sort of both a continuation of that, but also a change from everything that you built for yourself up to this point, and now you get to build a whole new pillar.
Can I say one last thing?
Please.
So I think the reason I'm on this show at 49 years old, and I've realized this through music too, I named my band Trashy Annie because somebody gave me shit about wearing clothes that are too young for me on stage, and I was just like, you know, like, world. And so I'm such a big fan of, you know, being you, loving who you love, doing what you want to do, no matter your age or size or anything else. And my band started me on that journey, and I started feeling like, yes, this is why I'm here on this planet, to be inspirational to people to do things they're scared of or don't think they should do. And this show is that too. It's really a big deal for me to come on here at almost 50 years old and say, I'm here, you know, you can do this too. And so I hope, no matter when I'm voted out or how long I make it on this show or any of those things, that there are some people out there that say, yeah, I'm gonna try this too. I'm gonna do something that's scary for me. Just, you know, that they maybe don't think they can do. So that's why I'm here, and I'm really honored to be here.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.